So I want to share a little bit of a WizardAmigos story and how we started and how we got here to organizing code camps, which was not initially the plan. So basically, WizardAmigos started as a meetup in Berlin. I met Alex in 2013, and in 2014 we decided to start organizing meetups. Alex just finished his computer science degree, and I went through the Summer of Code, the Rails Girls Summer of Code. So we were both kind of fresh in programming. Alex had the theoretical background, but he wanted to get more hands-on practice. And I was completely new, basically. I transitioned from political science and linguistics, did some startups in between, and then decided to learn programming. So because we were both learning, we wanted to form some kind of a group of people who are also learners, who are already programmers or who are programmers to be, and who embrace open knowledge, who are not learning by themselves at home and hiding their knowledge from each other, but rather getting together, embracing, sharing skills, and basically learning from each other. So this was kind of the idea of how the meetup started. So the format was weekly or bi-weekly meeting. We started at 7 p.m. and stayed until we became so tired that we just couldn't be awake anymore. So sometimes this really literally meant like till 6 o'clock in the morning. I will mention before where it was happening. Locations was Berlin, Taipei, and Lagos. So in Berlin, Alex and I were running the meetups. Later also Pepe and a few other people. In Taipei, it was Jerry, Nora, and Edward. And in Lagos, it was Enoch. So yeah, the idea was to find a free space, some sort of a community space that is available for communities like ours to meet for free. So we were lucky in Berlin, this was Co-op. It was a co-working space during the day, and in the evenings it was like an event venue. There was a lot of interesting meetups going on, and one of them was ours. And they allowed us to practically stay in that space the whole night. So we used this opportunity, and sometimes we literally stayed there until the first co-workers started coming for the morning job. What was the atmosphere like? So there was always like a big table to sit around, cozy sofas so that you can kind of like relax a little bit, because we are there for many hours. So it has to be like a living room type of vibe. And the idea was, before that, I was going to a lot of meetups, and it was always the problem that you had speakers, you could watch the speakers, and sit in silence, and when the talks ended, you could go and mingle around and talk to people who were also listening. But it was kind of stressful. You didn't know now to whom to talk to, what to talk to. It's like this forced networking or something like that. Sometimes you were lucky and you met some interesting people, but sometimes it was really stressful. So we were thinking like, let's create this kind of co-learning atmosphere where we are basically literally like sitting behind the same table, and you don't have to talk to anyone. Only if you want to. Otherwise you can type on your computer, but when you feel like there's something interesting, you can say something. So nobody is on stage feeling awkward. Nobody is just the passive audience, but like everybody can speak and everybody can participate in conversation if they feel so. But if you are maybe shy or more introverted, it's also okay. You can just sit around the table and just listen, and maybe after a couple of times of coming there, you will feel that maybe you want to say something, but nobody will force you, and you will still be part of the group. So this was kind of the setting. And yeah, this is how it looked. So this is in co-op, this too. So we brought some yummies, some candies, some waters. Also here in the back, co-op always had like drinks that you can pay, and there is like a jar where you can put your money in. All open community trust style. So here you see, so from just sitting around, you see how this can turn into a little bit more involved debates occasionally. So these meetups were going on for many years, and this is how it was in Taipei. So in Taipei, sadly, there was no cozy couches, but it was still like a very lovely place provided by Mozilla, Mozilla community space, so all free and available for communities like that. So also some sharing happening. This is another location in Taipei. And this was from Lagos. We sadly were never there, but the organizer was Enoch, the person on the right. And we even had a person from Berlin who was also an organizer of another event. He went to visit our WizardAmigos in Lagos. So this was not the only time. There was many times people visiting each other. Basically, wizards from Berlin, they went to visit Taipei. So yeah, how did we even get any people to our event? We published it on meetup.com, and we also shared it in co-op or this locations calendar. So the venue that was available to us also had its own community, so they also shared within that community. So this was, like I said, co-op in Berlin, Mozilla community space in Taipei, but in Lagos, that's why it also didn't last. They had a little bit of a problem finding free space. So this is also a challenge. Not every country has this luxury of providing some free community spaces to people. Or you have to just dig deeper and try to find these locations. So altogether, we had over 2,000 members in our group, and we organized 893 events altogether. So this was really ongoing thing. So it wasn't like an event every half a year or something, but it was really like twice a week in Berlin, once a week in Taipei, and so on. And because in the description, which changed over the time to try to find out the right people, the right values of people who were coming, we were also sharing that we are interested in nomadic lifestyle. And because of this, Alex and I later started traveling, so we handed over WizardAmigos to Pepe, who was then organizing it, I think, for over a year. But then also he became a digital nomad, so he started traveling. The same happened in Taipei. Nora was like the main organizer, and then also Nora became a nomad. So we got into the problem that people there became interested in remote work, in nomadic lifestyle, which was the whole kind of one of the ideas there that connected us. And then they left, so we lost organizers. So in a way, it was like a failure, but at the same time also success, because obviously it worked. So we figured out we have to make something else. Meetups can still exist, but I'm just sharing like how they work, so anyone can pick up on them. You can make your own little brand, or you can also organize them as WizardAmigos if you want. If you're interested, please reach out. We can help you publish it on meetup.com and so on. But we then figured out like, okay, we are all now traveling, living in different countries. Pepe moved to Seoul in Korea. Nora was in between in Boston. Alex and I moved to the UK, and we were also traveling in all sorts of places. So how do we now meet with these like-minded people? So we decided to make something of a longer format, something that will last 2 to 4 weeks. So the first one was in Taipei in 2018. Second one in Berlin, also 2018. Then we did it in Chiang Mai 2019. In the Newlyn in Wales in UK in 2022. And the latest one is now Alvados, Portugal, 2023. So what is a code camp first, maybe before I go into this pros? It's basically a co-living. So yes, I'm already talking about the first pro. It's a more of a holistic interaction. It's co-working, presenting to each other, cooking, hiking, peer programming, it's pair programming, focus groups, project reviews. So it's like really multidimensional. You are not just meeting and talking about code anymore. You are like literally experiencing each other in a more holistic way. So because you're living together. There's mixed communities from different perspectives, different age groups, different cultures, different stack, what they're using to build stuff, from different bubbles. So we have people who are from open data, people who are interested in peer-to-peer, people who are activists, people who are interested in blockchain. So it's like all these mixed communities coming together. And it's forming lasting connections, because when you live together, you really, in 1 month or 2 weeks, that's a lot of hours. Imagine how many meetings or meetups this would have to be to get to the stage of knowing each other that well. So this can, of course, lead to new friendships, new collaborators on projects. Some people are contractors to each other. So it's really, it's happening already. But what are the negative sides? It's not affordable to everyone. Traveling to another country and staying there for a month is not cheap, while having a meetup in a city was really not difficult. Anyone could join, anyone could just sit on the public transportation and come there, because it was always free. Another thing, it's more involved, so it needs more planning. You have to record streams, you have to try to engage with all the people who couldn't join. So it's like it takes more effort than just coming to a location, opening the space and host people in a room. Here you have to actually find the accommodation and so on. I will talk about it a bit later. And it only happens once a year, so it's less interaction during the year, while meetups were going on like twice a week. So I'm going to share a little bit what it takes to organize a code camp. So before the event, you have to prepare a website and announce the code camp. Then you have to notify the community and send out a form or something to help the community select 2 to 3 countries and dates or let's say we pre-select 2 to 3 countries and dates, and then the community can vote and decide which one would work for them. Second thing is gathering the first applications. So, okay, we select the country, we select the dates, and then we post the second form and say like, okay, apply. Who is in? Let's gather the real applications. Then we start searching for accommodations. We share how much will probable costs be if we go to this country in these dates in those accommodations that we've kind of scouted. And then we have basically 2 options. If we go pay-as-you-go option, then we don't have to worry about anything, because then every participant will just pay to the venue itself. So, for example, in Wales, we were in a hackerspace and they offered basically accommodation with food and everything per person per day. There was a negotiated price. But if we go with just booking the whole house like we did now in Portugal, then we need to create invoices and share these costs So this option can be cheaper because people can rotate. Maybe we have like 3-bedroom or 5-bedroom house, and then somebody stays just for 1 week, and then the next week another person come, and we share this bed, and we pay it only once. While in pay as you go, we basically pay per head per day, no matter how many people there are. So there's pros and cons for each. So the second one is more involved, of course, because we have to commit before we know exactly who is coming, or it's just like kind of chicken and egg problem a little bit. Then we book the place, and then we prepare a document with core information, options and prices, how to get there, taxis, public transportations, all of this, what to pack, because there's different countries with different weather, and people need to know like what they need to pack, especially if they come from completely different country where they don't know what is important to have with you in this country, who is coming when, and so on. So during the event there is more work. We have to prepare methods and materials for collective planning of talks, activities, cooking, cleaning. So all of this is shared between participants, but there has to be some methods in place, because otherwise it just can be a chaos. But we try to avoid the chaos, so we prepared this. So we had like a big schedule with every day and what are the activities that need to be done, cooking, cleaning, and then like, I don't know, swiping the floor and taking out the trash and so on. And then everybody could sign their name. So we knew exactly what is whose role each day. It wasn't like super forced. It was more like DIY. So some days we were not achieving all this very perfectly, but sometimes it really worked well. So on average, it was really nice. So, and post-event, when the event ends, we have to prepare the final calculation, because before we made a calculation based on who said that they're coming, and then we said like, this is the price for the person for if only this amount of people comes. But later on, some more people decide to join, so this reduced the price. So we now have to prepare this final calculation. And luckily, this time we had a surplus, so we could reimburse people. But otherwise, it could be that some people decided to not come, and then we would have to ask for more payment. So we have to prepare this final calculation, collect more dollars, or reimburse if we are over the budget. Then we have to edit and publish the videos, update the web page with links to videos, prepare a shared photos dump, so that, because everybody was taking photos, and it would be really nice to have photos of yourself as well, because usually people who take photos are behind the camera, and then they never have photo of themselves, but there was some other photographer in the place too, so maybe they can get a picture of themselves. But that's not the only point, it's just people's perspectives see different things, and it's interesting to gather all these photos together. Also publishing the know-how, so sharing with people how they can organize this event, like what I'm trying to do now. And we also thank everyone and yourself for making it happen, because it's a lot of work, and it's nice that you tap yourself on the shoulder and say, good job. So this is like example from this year, how the form looked like. This was the estimated costs. We had a cost getting lower if you decided to stay longer, because this is also how we get discounts when we book. If you book just for a day, it's certain price. If you get for a week, it's already reduced, and if you take it for a month, it gets way cheaper. So it's basically better if you come and stay for a longer time. It's cheaper. So this was an example of planning activities. This was for cooking and cleaning. And this one doesn't load, but it's the image, yeah, of all the talks and everything. It's basically the most interesting image, but I don't know why it doesn't load now. So yeah, so these were all the talks every day, what will people share, and we had some local talks and also some remote talks. So this is the final calculation. So this is what I was saying. We made estimated costs, and then because more people showed up than initially thought, the final costs were lower. We were also, for food and for like running expenses throughout the month, all of us were paying this. Like somebody jumped to the shop and paid something, and then we collected all these invoices together, and then we calculated how much would it be per person per day, and then how much people paid already, and what is the difference. Do they have to still add some funds, or do they get something reimbursed? And yeah, this was a schedule to know like who is coming when, so that we know which beds are free, what can be reused, so that we can optimize the house. And this was like an example of this document that said like what should people pack, like what do you not need to pack, because like toothpaste, soap, shampoo, this was shared, because some people flew in, and they in hand luggage you can't really carry around any liquids or very little, so we said like let's not complicate, let's just have this shared. Towels were also provided. There were summer hats in the house, so people didn't have to take care of that. Also which clothes to wear, what kind of shoes, blah blah blah. So yeah, this is just one example, and this is how it actually looked at the end. So we had a very nice place this time. Every time is something different. Like this year was way more comfortable and warm because we were in Portugal, or we are in Portugal. While last year, for example, we were in Wales, it was colder, it was kind of more alternative and cool because we were in a hackerspace. This time we were in like a villa. So everything has its good and its bad sides. This one was definitely like fancy, but last year, for example, I liked that it was like so inspirational, this venue, because it was like an old church transformed into a hackerspace. So we're trying to change each time. So a lot of really like learning happening from each other, cooking, eating, discussing. Yeah, we were cooking and eating a lot because everybody wanted to showcase their cooking skills. So we really we were really cooking a lot. This was like, it was almost sometimes a question if this is not more of a cooking camp than a coding camp. But it was really fun because you do something together and then you anyway chat code or like stuff that we are interested in. So dropping off people, picking up other people, going hiking, because that's another thing. We're trying to organize this always in like a beautiful natural national park or something, like really close to the nature, so that when we hack and are busy on the computers, then when we step out we are immediately in this beautiful nature. And yeah, that's what happened now twice, and we're gonna continue doing it in this way. So what's next? So, as I said, meetups in person are fantastic, but they are not possible in every country, in every city. It's only possible in like big cities like Berlin, Taipei, Lagos, and New York, and stuff like that. Maybe in a smaller community, smaller cities as well, but it's harder because it's hard to attract the critical mass that you constantly have an influx of people. So code camps are amazing. It's really nice to be together, to share this knowledge, and we're even recording stuff. But people from the outside, they can't really participate, other than some of them were giving talks remote. But we want to make some kind of a system that could work even throughout the year, where we could collect this knowledge and skills like we do here on the Code Camp, but throughout the whole year, and share them with each other on a regular basis, not just during the camps. So what we are envisioning are peer-to-peer workshops. So everyone can create a workshop and link it to other workshop or some related topic, or in the same or related topic. So basically, ideally, this would not be just single talks like they are now from our code camp. They're somehow related, but they're not building like a whole skill tree. If somebody wants to learn and like travel through the knowledge base, they could just go from a talk to a talk recommended by the peers in the community instead of a YouTube algorithm or something like that. So basically, it's crowdsourcing an algorithm, if I can say it like that. So this is work in progress. What I want to say is this, what we are doing is completely free for almost 10 years. We're doing it and we're completely volunteers here. Everybody who was ever organizing WizardAmigos doesn't get paid anything. So in order for us to build this, what we envision, this kind of peer-to-peer workshops and more events and everything, it will just take time. So we are not a company, we're a group of enthusiasts. So we will push into this direction, but I feel like so far everything that has been happening was happening spontaneously, and we want to keep it like that. So let things just evolve based on the needs of the community, based on the interest, based on the fact if somebody wants to contribute their time and work, or if somebody maybe can donate something. But we will not push for this, because this is not the organization that helps us earn money, but it's something where we put our heart in, and we want to keep it like that, no forcing anything, because then it will just become stressful. So like I said, next steps will develop as we go and are based on the experience we make along the way. So if you want to stay in touch, if you want to join the community, if you're not there yet, we have Mastodon. We're also on Discord. Discord is bridged to Cabal peer-to-peer chat. And we are also on Twitter. So get in touch, join a code camp next year, start organizing your local WizardAmigos if you are located somewhere nice, somewhere where you think that you could get a lot of people interested in meeting up in this way. If you need any help with learning, also join the Discord and we'll help you out. So yeah. Does anybody have any questions maybe? Alex, of course. Okay, I can share my microphone with you.
All right. Yeah, this sounds really cool. I'm curious about the talks. Like, how did the schedule happen? That when does it get filled out? Is there a form where speakers can apply? And how do people choose their topics, including maybe the local ones? And what does the setup involve? Like when the things are recorded, and what tools or programs and whatever, all that stuff.
All the jazz. So yeah, what we are using for recording is OBS, and then we have these little microphones that we carry around, and I have a camera, which is a phone. So this is my phone being attached to a water bottle. And that's instead of a holder. I think we have to buy some kind of a tripod next time. But yeah, so this is basically the setup. And then when the videos get recorded, so far I was editing them, adding some kind of intro, outro, and publishing them to PeerTube and YouTube. But regarding the speakers and how these get selected, it's actually, Alex, you are way more familiar because you were organizing this, so maybe you can share.
I mean, I think when it comes to the people who join here, they decide on their own what are the topics. But of course, if people follow or join WizardAmigos, then maybe it's something related to JavaScript. No, I'm kidding. But like it's something that is already somewhat compatible, I would say. And for the remote speakers, I mean, here I can just share that based on the people who actually join the code camp and based on what we're currently doing, we're just reaching out to people and share what we do and ask them if they want to maybe join or at least share a remote talk. And we are reaching out based on the topics that we are interested in. So in a little bit, we're influencing it. Not everyone is up for it, but I think that's so instead of like having a form and just having like anyone apply a talk. Of course, we share that people can join and give a talk, but we're also reaching out to try to ask people that would fit and that are really, compatible in a way with what we're trying to achieve. And then I have one more question regarding the location. So this one and also the previous one, like, what are the selection criteria and what's needed to set up a location? Like, for example, in this one, there was now showing the pictures from the previous years. Is that like always the case, or should it always be the case? Where are those pictures stored? And I also saw that they're like updating during the event. And also there's a lot of other decoration, like how much effort is involved. And is there any tricks that can be shared when it comes to that?
That's interesting. I went now out of my presentation to show what we set up this time. We made like a album from all the previous events and the meetups. We even were teaching kids in between and just dumped them all into this kind of album, and then it was rotating the whole time. So some people who joined from the times when they were coming to meetups in Berlin, for example, they said like, oh my God, it's such a flashback. So this is really kind of a nice feeling to have these pictures rotating here. And I was also trying to add new pictures from the event itself onto this display. So people sometimes said like, oh, I'm already in, kind of. They just joined like half a day here and they see themselves here on the display. So this was like something where we try to make it like a little bit more of a community or venue type of thing, because otherwise it feels too much as a holiday home in this particular location. Other than that, I said we had this like a removable wallpaper where we made like a table with the tasks that needs to be done. Then luckily in this location there was a lot of extension cables, those kind of thingies, because there's many people and chargers and all of this around, so this was very important. Other than that, let me think. We had a speaker that we were carrying around so that we could listen to music. And we even had from a previous event some Guy Fawkes masks. So this was on to just remind people that we are actually planning a revolution here, that they don't forget, that they don't think that they just came for holidays, that they remember that they have a mission here to do. And in the previous location, so this I'm mentioning the whole time, like just 2 locations, although we had 5 code camps. First 3 code camps were longer, like it was every day for 2 weeks, but they were in Taipei, it was in university, NTUT, I think. And then in Berlin was Co-op again. And in Chiang Mai, we were in Maya Mall. They had like some community area on top. So we could rent like a little presentation room. And we were coming every day and meeting there. But then we figure out this is a lot of work. You have to commute every day to this location. And it just kind of, it was okay, but it felt worse than a meetup where we could kind of chill for many hours and it was like cozy and we would meet twice or once a week. It was more stressful in some way, at least to me. While this setting that we did now for the last 2 times was let's rent a place together and let's just live there together. And then it's again kind of more relaxed because you just are there. You don't have to every day come to the location. So I don't know. Another thing is the place has to have massive tables because you want to work. So people who come here, they don't take holidays. Most or basically everyone is a remote worker. So they are either working on their own projects or they have a remote contract. So everybody was also working. So this is another thing, yeah. And also on these meetups in Berlin and in Taipei, people were there for many hours because they were actually working. So it was like a co-working, co-learning, skill-sharing session. This is from last year. Always eating together. This is the fun part. Okay, so any more questions? Or yeah, then I'll wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening to this talk, and also thank you everyone for joining any of our meetups in Berlin or joining our code camp. And I hope to see you on some future event or on our peer-to-peer e-learning app. Okie dokie.